So here I am, installing SimCity 4 on a CD that I bought 10 years ago. The reason why I'm making this visual demo for you is because there's a very real possibility that 10 years from today, no one's going to be able to play their SimCity game that they got just 7 days ago. For those of you who don't know, the new SimCity is set up like it's a free-to-play online game. In order to start playing it by yourself, you have to log into a service and host your game session on their servers. These servers won't last forever, and a history of MMOs that have come and gone suggests that the chance of this game lasting 10 years is an exception to the norm. Products with a longer lifespan have more use value to buyers, and the buyers of this game should have been turned off by its always online requirements a long time ago. For some reason though, the untold thousands of people who bought it were either too uninformed or too naive to wait a couple weeks before giving this game $60 of commercial support. And now a lot of them are angry about it. I can understand that. This is a classic franchise that just about everyone grew up with, and it's been a whole 10 years since the last SimCity game. It's understandable that people were hungry for a new one, but when news broke last year of an always online DRM system, they honestly should have known better. SimCity has always been a primarily single-player game, and the old ones worked without an online component far better than the new one seems to be working with one. The game actually uploads a lot of its gameplay calculations onto EA's servers, which means that you're going to suffer if everything's not up to snuff on their end. And for the first few days, just about everything that could have gone wrong has gone wrong. People are having to wait in line to launch the game. People are reporting that their save games get lost when EA changes something on their end. By the looks of things, 1UP, Eurogamer, and even IGN can't get their after-embargo reviews done on time because of just how hard it is to get in and play it. One unfortunate solution to decrease all the launch week traffic was to disable a speed-up function that slows down the pace of the whole game, which effectively gives EA full control over how well the core game plays for everybody. The old games didn't have any of these problems, so despite the technology behind this series moving forwards, the quality of the consumer experience has gone backwards. This setup has failed in the past. There was an awfully similar 2009 game called Cities XL that, while certainly not a SimCity game, made a similar move by putting the city building genre into a subscription-based MMO model that failed spectacularly. It ended up getting redesigned back into a single-player game in 2010, and the 2011 sequel had no trace of MMO left at all. Last year, Diablo 3 had a launch that had to have been rocky enough to warn people that any game with this kind of DRM system is going to have a terrible launch, but apparently it wasn't a big enough failure for people to learn from that mistake. About 2 days before writing this, the #2 post on Reddit's front page was urging people to cancel their Dragon Age 3 pre-orders in response to the SimCity mess. And that kind of worries me. Are people just now noticing that pre-ordering games is kind of a gamble? If this is the kind of consumer angst that results from people pre-ordering SimCity and then being disappointed with it, then making posts like this isn't helping. Same deal with those asking for a refund. They already have your money, you've already supported this bad business. Posts like this just reaffirm how gullible game consumers are. Note that for some reason, whoever wrote this post seems to assume that the reader has already pre-ordered this game, and that for some reason 2,600 other people were cool enough with that to give it the upvote. Am I the only person who doesn't do this stuff? It's not like SimCity is going to be any harder to find now that it's been released, and it's not like these launch problems are going to get worse with time. In fact, as is the case for a lot of overhyped stinkers like this, we're probably just a few weeks away from seeing it go on sale for a third of the cost. Public relations keeps trying to spin this overwhelming demand into a positive thing, but it can't be. Because of its server issues, Amazon actually suspended sales of the game and wouldn't let people buy it until EA improved their service. EA actually turned off its advertising campaigns for a couple of days, presumably to bottleneck the number of angry new customers who will have to deal with these launch problems. But all that hasn't stopped it from topping the charts. Despite all this rage, it was the #1 bestseller on Amazon before they took it off. All of these problems could have been avoided if consumers would just practice healthier spending habits. If they had waited just 2 or 3 days before buying this product en masse, the servers wouldn't have been so stressed. Better yet, if EA had made less money off this game, then they wouldn't be encouraged to make more games like it in the future. If GameSpot, of all people, thought it was only 50% good, then maybe the game underneath all these server issues isn't that satisfying anyway. I can't personally contest these opinions since I, unlike a lot of people apparently, didn't buy it. But from here, things are looking pretty bad. Maybe EA's whole strategy was just to test a risky new DRM scheme on a nostalgic old IP that was sure to sell just from the brand name alone. But the writing was on the wall before this game's launch, and what we can assume is that all these people who fell for it are the same kind of people that don't read the news, the reviews, and the word of mouth before making their purchases, and they far outnumber the rest of us who do. There's only one way to stop this. There's just one way to make sure that the next SimCity game, or any EA game for that matter, will be better. And that is to think critically about your game purchases. Be careful with your spending money, and try to understand where your money goes and what trends it will be supporting. Just keep all that stuff in mind, and maybe we'll be happier customers.